I'm just curious because I tell you, she loves Alaska, loves this state. She truly does love Alaska. And in my mind, she's an incredible ambassador for this state. I think our tourism this summer is going to be balls to the wall. And I think a lot of that is going to be because of people that watched her show that want to come up here and visit this beautiful state of Alaska. I mean, my God, she showcased everything that is wonderful about this state. But I would like to know, and I think I have some ideas on why. I still believe that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and there's a lot of people that don't like her because she quit being our governor. And they put every egg in her basket, that she was going to be the one that was going to change everything, fix everything. She was well on her way to doing that. I mean, we forget a lot of the good things that she did. You know? I'm sorry, folks, but the $1,200 energy rebate, that was good. That was nice. She sold the jet, right?
Yeah.
ACES is good. ACES is working. It's working. She got Point Thompson rolling again. She got Exxon off their asses. She went in there and broke up the Corrupt Bastards Club. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. It was because of her that these guys went to jail. Because she wouldn't take it anymore. She said, no, enough. But we forget these things. Hello, Senator Bill Wielechowski. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, fine. It's good to chat with you. Now, you're down in Juneau, obviously, doing the deal. The session is in session. So what have you got done already? What's new?
Well, it's first year of the second of a 2-year session, so things are plodding along. The the big fight this year is over oil taxes, and a couple of proposals that are in to roll back the oil taxes, billions and billions of dollars. So a lot of discussions on that. And, everybody's got their pet bills, and there's, I think, 5 bills to change license plates here in Alaska.
Right. That to me, it's funny to me. Yeah. Marmot Day is today. Well done. You guys should be very proud.
Marmot see it shadow? I don't even know.
I don't know what the marmot does.
Well, here's the deal with marmots. They hibernate.
Oh.
So they're not out.
They never see a shadow.
Right. So I don't know. A lot of forward thinking done on this, but we don't really know what the marmot's doing. But here's what I think is interesting. I want to read you the little Alaska statute. I know you already know it, but in case you haven't revisited Marmot Day, here's what it says. Be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Alaska, Marmot Day is established on February 2nd of each year. The day may be observed by suitable observances and exercises by school programs, the Alaska Zoo, civic groups, and the public. My question is to you, sir, is whose job is it to make sure that it's a suitable observance?
I don't know. It sounds like we need to maybe set up a department and hire a commissioner to do that.
I think so. The Department of Marmots.
Yeah.
Or maybe give Fish and Game that title. Hey, get Rick Sennett, man. That guy was awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to talk seriously about this whole royalty rollback. Because I'm going to take the word taxes out of it.
Okay.
Because really, when you talk taxes, everyone hates taxes.
Right.
And if you change the language, I think people would understand a little bit. This isn't a tax rollback. It's a royalty rollback. It's what we get because we own the oil and gas. So I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb, Senator Wielechowski, because you're a pretty bright guy. You are against this royalty rollback.
Right, I am. I was a big supporter of ACES with bipartisan coalition that we had with Governor Palin and a group of Republicans and Democrats, really some progressives and really conservative people. Mm-hmm. In the legislature, and we all thought that we weren't getting our fair share. And you're absolutely right. People like to call it a tax, and people like to say it's the biggest, huge tax increase. But really, it's just getting our fair share for our oil resource. Mm-hmm. There's different ways you can structure it. You can structure it as royalty. And actually, the oil companies came in and said they didn't want that. They actually would prefer to have it structured as a so-called profits tax. Mm-hmm. And the reason they like that is because if they don't make any money, they don't pay any taxes.
Right.
Which is actually very different than the way it used to be. Under the old structure, whenever they made whatever they made, they paid a tax on it. Although they had rewritten the law back in I think 88 or 89, and it's called the economic limit factor. Was the ELF, right?
Yeah.
Was the old structure they had, and they wrote there was a little provision that they slipped in that said as fields decline, as they become so-called marginal fields, then the tax rate declines. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea at the time was, okay, as fields become more challenged, more expensive, we're going to lower the tax rate. It'll spur investment. It'll create more jobs, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so we had this ELF program, and about 6 years ago, the ELF had reached its sort of peak, and we had zero taxes on 15 out of the 19 fields on the North Slope. You actually had a Capark, second largest field in North America, paying zero tax rate. You had Prudhoe Bay paying about a 12% tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
So the taxes were unbelievably low. And what was happening during that time of zero taxes, investment was going down, jobs were going down.
Mm-hmm.
And so from my perspective, lower taxes just wasn't working in Alaska. What was happening was companies were making billions of dollars in profits, and they were in harvest mode. They were shipping all that money overseas to countries where you had dictators, pounding the table saying, you're going to go out and you're going to explore and you're going to drill right now,
right?
Or else I'm going to take away your leases.
Right.
And here in Alaska, we're sort of sitting back, not aggressively pursuing our leases. We had Point Thompson, which we sat on, the largest undeveloped oil and gas field in North America. Probably over 1 billion barrels of oil, trillions of cubic feet of natural gas. I mean, billions of dollars in worth.
Right.
And Exxon sat on it for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Went through 27 different plans of development. So, we saw that we needed to change the way we're doing business here, and we passed ACES, and it's been a great success. If you look at the numbers, jobs are up, investments up, capital expenditures are up, and so now there's a big push to roll it back.
Why? I mean, that's the question I have. Why? To me, it's not broke. Why are they trying to fix it?
Well, the oil company. It's the oil companies are jumping up and down. They want more profit for their shareholders.
Right. Now, here's the thing, Bill, that I think is interesting. On Monday, we all got the report from the AP about Exxon having the second largest profitable quarter in the last 3 months of 2010 in the history of the company. Right. That includes Alaska.
Right.
And I think it's interesting because in this report they say that Alaska, they don't divulge their Alaska profits.
They don't, right?
Everywhere else they do, but not in Alaska.
Right.
Now, I, being a very speculative person, would think that if in fact their profits were down because of ACES, they would want to release that information. Why would they hold those cards close to their chest? Because they don't want us to know that ACES is actually still making them a whole ton of money.
Yes.
We actually had a hearing a few years ago where Exxon came in and asked us to roll. This was during ACES. Exxon came in and asked us to roll back the taxes instead of increasing them.
Right.
Roll back what we're getting for our oil.
Right.
And I asked that they had this guy Craig Hames, and I think he's from Great Britain or somewhere. And I asked him probably 5 times, how much do you make in Alaska? And he said, well, we don't break it down like that. And I said, well, surely you have some idea how much you made in Alaska. And he said, we don't break it down like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's BS.
Right. And I said, what do you do? Just take all the money you made in Alaska and throw it in a drawer somewhere, a vault somewhere, and say, I guess we made some money in Alaska this year.
You know as well as I do, Senator, they know to the dollar.
Oh, they know to the penny, right?
Yeah, to the penny.
Exactly what every investment they have across the world makes. They know that stuff. They have really good accountants. And I don't know, Senator, have we become that afraid? Is that what it is? We're fearful of them?
Well, what it comes down to is it's elections, right? They were very active this last election cycle, and they formed some political action committees that went around and supposedly graded candidates on their performance. And one of the big things that they graded candidates on was, how did you vote on ACES?
Mm-hmm.
What's your position on ACES? And if you supported ACES, you got a great grade. Or if you supported rolling back ACES and giving billions of dollars in tax breaks to the oil companies,
right,
you got a good grade. If you didn't, you got a bad grade.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what did you get?
I got an F.
You get an F.
Well, we have given them, over the last 2.5 years, $3 billion in tax credits.
Well, here's the interesting
thing. A lot of people don't know that, Senator.
We've given them billions of dollars in tax credits, and I've heard this over and over again. Well, everything they're doing on the North Slope, the reason for increased jobs, the reason for increased expenditures on the North Slope is because of maintenance. And that's what you hear. That's sort of the company line at these days, right? And then you look at the tax credits. Well, the tax credits are for exploration and development. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the Parnell administration testified before the legislature last year that they thought the majority of the expenditures, the capital expenditures, operating expenditures, were not for maintenance, but were rather for drilling, seismic tests, exploration, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But my question is, hey, if these credits were designed for exploration and drilling and seismic tests, and you guys are using them for maintenance, we need to take a look at those tax credits.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we giving you tax credits to do maintenance?
For maintenance, yeah.
You're supposed to be doing maintenance anyway.
Yeah, that's right. It's part of the deal.
So maybe we need to take a hard look at these credits that we're giving them.
Yeah. Yesterday I was reading about the Liberty Field.
Yeah.
And BP, there was a story on Bloomberg, and BP said, well, we're putting the Liberty rig on hold indefinitely because of a planning and engineering situation.
Right.
And then calls on Bloomberg for lower taxes. They use that as an excuse, and I never knew that your own problems of engineering and planning were, would go better if we lowered taxes. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And that's 100 million barrels right there.
Yeah. Oh, well, remember when? There's a tendency to do that, to blame everything on ACES, right? I'm surprised that we haven't heard the Gulf spill.
Okay, let me ask you this, Senator. What are the chances that this is actually going to pass?
It's hard to say. I think when we first started out the session, there were a lot of people that, because they were, the oil companies were just relentless, right? They're going around, they're going to all the offices. They got commitments from people during the election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They funneled money to candidates that supported rolling back ACES. And so there were a lot of people that came in saying, yeah, we got to roll back ACES. But now, once we're starting to talk about it and people are seeing the facts and seeing that, ConocoPhillips made $1.57 billion just in Alaska last year.
Mm-hmm.
ConocoPhillips regularly makes, they have about 10 or 12% of their worldwide investment in Alaska. They regularly make 30 to 50% of their profits, their worldwide profits in Alaska.
Right.
So Alaska is a very, very profitable place to do business. We did some modeling last year that showed internal rate of return. It's not exactly what sort of your return on your investment is, but it's a good measure.
Mm-hmm.
You put your money in the bank right now, you're getting, you're lucky if you get a 1% rate of return, right?
Right.
5-year CD, maybe you get a 2%.
Right.
If you put it in the stock market, a good return is like 8 to 10%.
Right.
Well, we did some studies we hired actually an oil company consultant to evaluate what's the rate of return for BP at Prudhoe Bay. Do you have any idea what it is?
Can I guess?
Take a guess.
14%.
I was going to say 12.
123%.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so here's my question, because I hear your attitude towards it's the same I have. It's almost embarrassing to me that they would insult the intelligence of the average person, but yet there's a chance they'll get away with it. I don't understand, how can this happen? How are we allowing this to happen where they are posting record-breaking profits, they're making tons of money, investment is up, production is up, the jobs are up, ACES is working exactly as it was designed to work.
Yes.
And with all of that, they're still able to look us straight in the eye and say, oh, no. And even after told that we could possibly give them $5 to $6 billion over the next few years, they even come out and say, that's still not a guarantee that we're going to have more jobs. They've said that.
A good first start.
A good start.
Yeah. I mean, WTF, Senator?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. In my mind it is. And I've actually put together a PowerPoint presentation, and I presented to the AFL-CIO. It was in the paper the other day, sort of the substance of it. And Vince Beltrami called me up and said, hey, you want to do a presentation before the AFL-CIO on ACES and sort of your take on it? I said, sure. Put together a PowerPoint. And he went ahead and got a lobbyist for ConocoPhillips.
Right.
Wendy King.
Wendy King, very smart woman.
Yes, she is a very smart woman.
And people were saying, oh, she's going to eat your lunch. And we went in there, and I just said, you know what? The facts are so overwhelming. If you sit down and actually look at the facts, it is so overwhelming that ACES is working exactly the way it's supposed to. And most of the people that I talked to afterwards were just they came out thinking, how exactly the way you guys are thinking, how could they possibly be asking for
tax, for royalty roll? Can we just say right now, let's change it to royalty rollbacks?
No, I tried to make a concerted effort to do that a few years ago. You're right, because the language is so important. And you're right, it's a product that we own. We own the oil and the gas. Well, all of Alaskans do.
Right.
And it's basically the value that we're selling it for.
Right.
We call it a tax, or that's what I guess the name that.
Right, but let's change it.
But it really is sort of the value that we're getting for our.
But I mean, your colleagues. You look at Senator Stevens, Gary Stevens, president of the Senate, and he's saying, "Whoa, wait a minute now." we got about $12 billion in the CBR.
Right.
ACES is working just fine. We continue along this path. We could forward fund government for decades.
Right. Well,
on the interest.
Yeah, on the interest alone, which means you're never spending any of the CBR.
That's right.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, the projections are, just sort of the rough off the cuff projections are. We're going to have You're right. We have $12 billion in savings in CBR, SBR, other statutory budget reserve, other places. But that's actually going to grow to probably $14 or $15 billion just on investments this year.
Right.
And the money increases value. You put in investments and it increases. At least it should. But and it typically has. So you're absolutely right. If we are able to grow that, we could actually be in a position in just a short time, because we've grown our CBR from virtually nothing to $12 billion in about 4 years.
Right.
And just think about what we could do in, say, the next 4 years. We could have a constitutional budget reserve that has $40-50 billion in it.
Right.
And then what you do is you set up an annuity where let's say you pull off 5% of $50 billion. You're pulling off $2.5 billion a year.
Mm-hmm.
You could practically run your government. You'll need other contributions, but a huge chunk of your government could be spun off just by the interest.
And guess what? That means no more talk of an income tax, no more talks of any more sales taxes. We can all appreciate, and I think that's why we need to change the terminology. We can appreciate wanting tax breaks. We all want tax relief, but let's change. It's a royalty rollback is what they're asking for in the face of making record-breaking profits and. ACES is working on every single facet, on every leg it's supposed to stand on. It's standing up, and it's doing everything it was designed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing: people don't realize, if you roll back, if you give them royalty relief, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Royalty relief.
Then what? And Parnell's talking about I ran his numbers. It was more like $6 to $7 billion just over the first 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually. A former Wielechowski official calculated it as $10 billion, and he said it was crazy. He said Parnell's idea was not going to spur investment, was not going to further.
They said it themselves. It wouldn't.
Right. So
this is just it really is, Senator. Do you really think Parnell is truly a fan of this idea?
It's hard to say. Before. When Governor Palin was the governor, he was kind of quiet on it. He seemed to support it during the election, and then right after the election, he came out real strong and saying we got to roll it. We got to change this back. And if you look back at his statements during the election and when Governor Palin was in office, he was supportive. So I don't know. I don't know what happened during that. I don't know what happened during that interim.
He took his mask off, and now he's showing his innermost self.
Well,
that's my opinion.
Here's the thing. Here's why people should be concerned about this, because if you go ahead and give $8-10 billion in royalty relief over the next 5-7 years,
mm-hmm.
then we're in deficit spending,
right?
And we start eating up our constitutional budget reserve,
right?
And instead of being in a position where we can fund our government and fund our roads and schools and
wait a minute, really quickly, building roads, building schools, and all that. Guess who has to do that? Alaskans. What does that mean? Jobs. We can actually tie jobs to the CBR.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's guaranteed. Those are real jobs that can be created by this. And
we could build the Susitna Dam for the money that he's wanting to give back to the oil companies. But the thing that people don't realize is you give this back, and then in 5-7 years we're in deficit spending, and all of a sudden you got the calls for raiding the permanent fund, right?
Right.
Yeah. And in 5 to 7 years, where's our development? That you didn't promise. You didn't write anything down.
And guess what? And this is once again me being cynical. You're going to see Exxon, ConocoPhillips, and BP once again making record-breaking profits, rolling in cash,
and making excuses.
And telling us, hey, we told you that it was a good start.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
When does it end?
We need more. Yeah.
Never ends. Never ends.
Well, listen, Senator. All I can tell you is, fight the good fight and try not to break out laughing. Let me ask you this: give me some names that got an A that want to roll back ACES. Who are some legislators down there that I think personally we need to worry about?
Well, there's actually you can go. It's the Alaska Business Report Card, and you can go on there and it tells you everyone's grades. And it was sort of funny because I had voted actually very similarly. They had 6 or 7 bills that they said they graded you on, and I had actually voted similarly to a lot of people who got higher grades, but the difference was ACES.
Yeah.
Right? Literally the difference between, I told you I got an F, right?
Right.
And someone else who got like a B- was ACES.
Right.
There was just no other.
That's all they cared about.
Yeah, and
right.
go on the cruise ship.
Right.
Wow, the Senate really doesn't have many. Con Bundy got an A-.
Yeah, the House.
The House has got him. The House, you got Craig Johnson of Anchorage. He gets an A. And no, there's a lot of B's.
Yeah.
He's the only one who got an A.
Yeah.
A lot of B's. A lot of B's.
A lot of B's down there.
Oh, Ms. Millett.
Well, we're watching.
Hey, no, I'm so glad you guys are watching. This is the most important debate that we're going to have down here, and it really is for the future. I mean, if we give back billions of dollars, we get nothing in return.
Nothing.
Shame on us.
Nothing.
Absolutely shame.
Listen, if they want to guarantee exploration, if they want to guarantee 10,000 jobs per billion, do it.
Go for it. That's what I said. If you guys can come in and guarantee more oil in the pipeline, guarantee more jobs, Alaskan jobs, not the 747s of people from Oklahoma and Texas that you're shipping up to the North Slope right now.
Yep.
I mean, it makes no sense at all.
All right. I agree. And like I said, try not to laugh.
Yeah.
We'll do that for you. I appreciate your time, Senator.
Hey, thanks.
All right, have a great job. That's one of the good ones right there. That's Senator Bill Wielechowski. We'll be right back.
This is the Bob and Mark Show on K-Whale.